say, there's a lot of policy in place like that take that chart right off the top. Frankly, that money by law is already spent. What are we going to do to turn that curve down? I think that's what we're attempting to do in Washington right now, is figure out ways to get this under control so we have something left, specifically in a climate we have right now. Not only our economy, and I think you can see what's happening, you can hear the talk of what's going on in Europe. It's a worldwide problem. Worldwide, we're not the only ones in this boat. There's people all over the world going through this. People want to say, well, China's different. China, the way they run, being a communist country that they are, they lose a lot of liberties, a lot of freedoms to have that. I don't think anybody in this room wants to give that type of stuff up. So it's something where we're going to have to make a lot of hard decisions and swallow a lot of hard ones. The last chart up here, I think it goes out, I want to see the year, it goes out to around 2035, 2037. See where the black line crosses the red? The red is Medicare, the green is Medicare and other health care, and the blue is Social Security. See how the Medicare as healthcare costs keep climbing? Well, that black line is revenue. In 2037, revenue engulfs every single dollar that the federal government takes in. Obviously, it's not sustainable, and I know some people will say, we'll just shut down the rest of the government. You know how many other programs you rely on, your family relies on, the rest of the country relies on, that would go away if that ever happened? How are we going to fund this? And I think that's why we go back to the S&P downgrade. Are you serious about tackling these challenges? Are you really, really serious about it? It's not going to, like I said, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be some challenges there. But like I said in the beginning, we understand that there were promises made to our seniors on the safety nets that they have through Social Security and Medicare. Those things have been addressed. They're not going anywhere. But we have to adjust them for our younger generation, for us as a country to survive. Everybody wants to scream about the S&P downgrade. You realize the whole mortgage crisis, the mortgage-backed securities, S&P rated those at AAA ratings. I know I got a few people shaking their heads. That was part of it. They were a huge part of that, allowing that to unfold in front of their eyes constantly. Well, it's just something I say, take with a grain of salt when people want to hang their hat on that hook there. The next thing I just really want to talk about, and I think is going to be one of the things that really drives us getting out of this. When you talk about jobs, taxes is the next word out of your mouth. And I really, and I agree, and most people agree, because you know what? It's in the Republican budget. It's to eliminate these loopholes and lower the tax base. It's in there. Pick it up and read it. You've been attacked that we don't want to eliminate it. The tax reform is going to be a huge part of us getting out of this. We're the second highest corporate tax rate in the world. Second highest. That forces these jobs out of here. Talk about manufacturing jobs. They leave because it's cheaper to do it elsewhere. We want to be able to keep the ones we have and then entice people to come back. I think you're going to do that with a lower tax rate. It's been proven to work. The problem is when you lower the tax rate, you have to be very conscious of your spending patterns. Spending patterns, not only for this administration, but the Bush administration, were out of control. pointing fingers at everybody. I'm blaming everybody. You have to be conscious of that. When you bring those rates down, you have to be very conscious, because you know automatically you're not going to have money coming in. You have to keep an eye to that. And I think that's what has really been lost in these past two administrations, frankly, is they were not paying attention to it. And I think also, as we're moving through this, we talk about over-regulating and uncertainty. And you have industries. I'll tell you a story. I had a gentleman come into my office. He's in the wine and spirits industry. And there was some bills going around the house saying, having problems with, some of you might have this, certain states like New Jersey can't buy from certain vineyards, and other states that have it shipped direct to the front door. They were having issues like that. And I thought that's what the gentleman was coming to talk about. But he literally sat down in my office. And I kind of took that attitude that that's what he was coming to talk about. And, we had a cordial conversation at the beginning, just kind of introducing ourselves. And I asked him, I goes, are you here to talk about, I forget the name and number of the bill, but are you here to talk about the bill? He goes, no. He goes, I'm here to talk about uncertainty in one issue. And he said the estate tax. And I understand that. I understand the estate tax and the issues there. He goes, I don't have an issue with the estate tax, because I don't care where the number is. Just tell me what the number's going to be for the next 15 years. Just so I can plan for it. Because you change what the parameters of the tax are every 3 to 4 years. He goes, I got to go back and redo my whole estate. He goes, it's costing me $15,000, $20,000 every time I turn around between my accountant and my attorney to get my paperwork. And I think that example carries over into business, whether it is just taxes in general. I think we experienced it. We experienced it last year, right before the election, in the lame duck session between the election and January, where what was the individual tax rate going to be? Where were we going to extend the current tax rates, or were taxes going to go up? That creates uncertainty. I always use the analogy of tax rate. Where were we going to extend the current tax rates, or were taxes going to go up? That creates uncertainty. I always use the analogy of someone going to start a business, and they have a great idea. They got a plan together. Your plan is only 2-3 year plan. And they go knocking on the door, whether it's up in New York or down in Philly, at our venture capitalists, looking for them to infuse them with a lot of cash and say, here, I have a 3-year plan on this great idea I want to do. And the guy will look at him and say, are you crazy? Because you want me to give you millions of dollars to invest in this idea, and you have a 3-year plan. Nobody in their right mind would do something like that. You need a long-term, long-range plan to be able to give that security for people to actually invest in it. And I think that's what we're looking at. It is people investing back into this country. And that's where we're kind of stalled. Everybody's kind of sitting on their hands. And I hope as we move through this, as we go, I can tell you the next big thing when we get back in September, obviously is going to be the FAA extension, which actually, they have another patch on it right now, but it's something that needs to be discussed. And you know what? The fiscal year is up at the end of September. We're going to go through this process again. And we're going to go through this process again also with the Budget Control Act that just passed, with the debt ceiling increase in it, with our select committee that we're going to see that's going to have to find another $1.2 trillion in cuts to keep the doors open here at the federal government. So it's going to it's going to be a challenge. They've put some nasty language into that bill to make this committee do their job. And it's not just going to be that committee's recommendation. It's going to go through the traditional process. It's going to go through the process of, they're going to put that in bill form, in bill language, put it out there. And it's going to go to the floor. It's going to be debated. It's going to be amended. And the same thing's going to happen over there in the Senate. It can be amended. It can be amended. The one thing, and I think most of you will agree with, that I think is, I want to say is the best part of that piece of legislation, and I think everybody agreed that that was not a perfect piece of legislation by far, is that both houses have to vote on a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Send it to the states for it to be ratified. You remember back in 1997, balanced budget amendment missed passing the House by one vote. If that had happened, would we be even having this discussion? No. I have a feeling that there'll be a few different balanced budget amendments out there. I wouldn't be surprised if that exact language from 1997 gets on the floor of the House, passes, because it had bipartisan support. Like I said, it was one vote from passing. And I really think that is key, because when we look at ourselves, we all have to balance our checkbook on a weekly, monthly basis. 48 of the states have a balanced budget amendment to their state constitution. But yet the federal government's allowed to acquire debt endlessly. It's insane when I think about it. So I've talked at you guys enough, and I think really that is one of the problems that Washington has. They talk too much and don't listen enough. So with that being said, I am going to open the floor up, and there's your name. Has a mic right there.
John, before you open the floor, could I just have attention for a second? We have two of our council people with us today. I'd like to recognize Judy Noonan and Carmen Amato for coming out and listening today.
First of all, thank you for my name.
I gave you a piece of paper.
That's right. I ran in late. I left my notebook in the car. Sam, come on. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and speak to us. And I just have two questions. First, sometimes it's a little difficult.
Closer to the mic, John.
Sometimes it's a little difficult for us to look at the big picture. We like to focus in on the smaller picture, which is not just New Jersey, but Berkeley Township. Berkeley Township, as you probably know, is kind of unique because of the fact that over 50% of the people who live here are seniors, and most of us live on fixed incomes. Now, it seems that there's a lot of rhetoric from both sides talking about Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. One side is saying Republicans are going to take that away from you. Vote for Republicans, you're going to lose it. Vote for Democrat, you're not going to lose it. I'm not here to talk about politics. All I want is a straight, honest answer. Here in Berkeley Township, over 50% of our population, as I said, is over our seniors. If Republicans, whether it be a mayor in our town, whether it be whatever, will seniors lose their Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security if the Republicans take over?
No, they won't. And I can tell you, they won't. I mean, if you pull up the Republican budget, it's in there. The scary part about that is the people that are going to say it's going to be there forever, turn around and look at that graph right there. That graph right there, if you say you can sustain that program forever, they're lying to you. It's impossible.
The reason I bring that up also is because we have in our town, the Berkeley Times, and you have people who are Democrats, people who are Republicans, independents, whatever they want to vote for, it's fine. We all have our own views of how we think our government should be run, what should be done. I know that in the Berkeley Times, just recently, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, our current mayor had mentioned that, well, at least I believe he had mentioned that we will be losing if Republicans take over Medicare, Medicare, and Social Security. Well, you've put that to rest. That question is
Will not
solved.
happen because it becomes scare politics, and then the next thing that comes in is class warfare. That is politics as usual. That's why we had 87 freshmen elected to the House of Representatives. People are fed up with that. And I always look at, to listen to the politics and the rhetoric is one thing. Pull out the graphs and charts.